Welcome. Today, we are diving deep into something our brains do every single day, a process that, when you stop and think about it, seems almost impossible. We lie to ourselves. Yeah, we're talking about self-deception.
It's a really fundamental question, isn't it? I mean, if you're both the person telling the lie and the person hearing it, what is even the point? Why on earth would evolution ever favor a mind that actively works to misinform itself?
The most common answer, and it's probably the one that just popped into your head, is that it's a defense mechanism. We lie to ourselves to protect our feelings, to shield our ego from harsh truths, and just to help us cope with a pretty difficult world. And look, that's certainly part of the story. But what if that's not the main reason? What if self-deception isn't a defensive shield at all, but an offensive weapon? An evolutionary superpower that's actually designed for social dominance? Okay, let's really get into that idea. This idea comes from a really compelling evolutionary theory that suggests we've been looking at self-deception all wrong. See, it's not about making ourselves feel better, it's about making us better at influencing other people. So here's the breakdown. The traditional view sees self-deception as that defensive shield. But this, honestly revolutionary idea, put forth by thinkers like Robert Trivers and William von Hippel, completely reframes it as an offensive weapon, a tool that evolved for one primary purpose: to make us way better at deceiving others. So how in the world does that work? How does lying to yourself actually help you lie to someone else? Let's unpack that. You have to imagine this. For as long as humans have been deceiving each other to get an edge, we've also been getting better and better at detecting those deceptions. It's this constant co-evolutionary struggle, like a biological arms race between the liar and the lie detector in all of us. And because of that arms race, we've gotten really good at spotting the tells. When someone is consciously lying, their body often just betrays them. You see signs of nervousness, maybe some physical tension from suppressing the truth, and a high cognitive load. That's the mental effort it takes to juggle the truth and the lie at the same time, which can lead to unnatural pauses or maybe overly simple language. This contrast right here really reveals the solution to the liar's dilemma. A conscious liar struggles, right? Their brain is working overtime and they're leaking all these nervous cues. But the self-deceived liar, they're playing a whole different game. They actually believe their own story. The lie becomes effortless and it's delivered with genuine confidence because, as far as their conscious mind is concerned, it is the truth. And so there are just no cues to detect. And this is not some new idea. Way back in 1976, the biologist Robert Trivers put it perfectly. The absolute best way not to give away a lie is to hide the truth from yourself first. By making the facts unconscious, you literally can't accidentally betray the deception you're practicing. And this ability gives you way more than just a tool to tell a single lie effectively. It offers a profound, ongoing advantage in our incredibly complex social world. Okay, so the edge it gives you can be broken down into three key parts. First, you avoid detection, like we just talked about. Second, it seriously reduces the mental effort of lying, freeing up your brain to be more charismatic, more quick-witted, more persuasive. And third, if your deception is discovered, you have plausible deniability. You can argue, much more convincingly, that you weren't intentionally trying to trick anyone because, hey, you believed it yourself. But this whole strategy goes way deeper than just specific one-off deceptions. The most powerful form of self-deception isn't about telling a lie, it's about living one. It's about building a more confident, more impressive version of yourself in your own mind so that you can sell that version to the rest of the world. And this is so important because as humans, we are just incredibly drawn to confidence. Think about it. We choose confident leaders, we're attracted to confident mates, and we're persuaded by confident people. So by deceiving ourselves into being more confident than our abilities might actually warrant, a process called self-enhancement, we gain this massive social and even reproductive advantage. So all of this leads to the central paradox. How can one mind be both the deceiver and the deceived? How do you hide the truth from yourself without knowing you're doing it? Well, the answer lies in the fact that our mind isn't this one single unified thing. First off, we have different memory systems. You can think of your explicit, conscious memory as the books sitting right there on your desk. It's the information you can easily see and access. This is where the lie lives. But the original truth, that can get stored in your implicit, unconscious memory, kind of like a file in a locked cabinet. It's still in there, influencing your behavior in subtle ways, but you can't consciously get to it. And the exact same split exists for our attitudes. Consciously, we can hold and express all these socially desirable beliefs, a belief in fairness and equality. This is our public face. It's the smiling mask we show the world and ourselves. But unconsciously, our implicit attitudes might be driving us to act in prejudiced or selfish ways, especially when we can rationalize our behavior and deny what our true motives really are. And finally, this applies to our goals too. Our conscious, controlled processes, that's the driver at the steering wheel, can be focused on a noble goal, like, say, studying for a big exam. But our automatic, unconscious processes, the autopilot system, might be pursuing a totally hidden goal, like avoiding failure, by subtly sabotaging our efforts. The crucial point is, the mind is partitioned. It's designed to allow one part to hide information from another. Now, this evolutionary theory is incredibly powerful, and it explains a lot. But just like with any major scientific idea, it's not without its critics, and there are definitely other explanations out there. This debate is very much alive. So, is it all settled science? In a word, no. While this idea of self-deception as an offensive weapon is a leading theory, for sure, it's not the only one on the table. Other researchers look at these same cognitive biases and interpret them in totally different ways. For instance, self-verification theory suggests we aren't actually trying to appear better than we are. Instead, we just really want others to see us the way we already see ourselves, even if that view has some flaws. Another theory argues that the main benefit of these positive illusions is internal. They give us optimism and resilience, which are adaptive traits all on their own, completely separate from fooling anyone else. And finally, some folks argue this isn't really deception at all, but simply the result of cognitive shortcuts our brains use, which just happen to favor the self. Which leaves us with a final, really fascinating question to think about. This whole theory rests on the idea that our minds construct a reality that serves our social goals. So if you manage to truly, completely convince yourself of that reality, and that belief helps you achieve your goals, at what point does it stop being a deception and just become your truth?